Welcome to Dream Big with Big Dreamers. Conversations for career growth, inspiration, and insight. It's time to dream big. Hey there, Scott.
Donna, how are you?
I'm doing great. I feel like I want to paint something.
You're like your nails?
I was going to say, well, maybe my room, maybe this office. What, like, are you a painter? Are you an artist? I mean, I'm talking like, do you have that creativity that comes out of you and you just need to create something?
I used to love to draw as a kid. I like drawing a lot. And then paint. No, I mean, I have like, I'm not a terrific creator of visual art. Like I like it. I like I really like going to art, like the Philly Art Museum, or the MoMA. I think experiences like that are really fascinating. But I'm not a particularly talented creator of things in the medium visual.
Well, I have artists on both sides of my family. And I think they would probably say that there's a fair amount of practice that you need to become good at pretty much anything. But I don't know how true that is completely because of this guest of ours today. And our guest today is David Marshy. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
It's Markey.
I should have asked you.
Yeah, it's Italian,
Markey.
So it's the CH is a K.
I was thinking it was French.
It could be whatever you
whatever you
want. You're the host. It could be anything.
I'm going to call you Marshy then. Okay.
Yeah.
How about mariachi?
Listen, let's be global.
Oh, I like
okay?
that.
Let's just do it.
I love global.
All right, so David Markey is a self-taught abstract expressionist artist, but this wasn't always the case. He held numerous leadership positions. Just prior to his accident, he spent 17 years as the president of CEO of Bulldog, New York. His market ideas include the Heineken keg can, stuffed crust pizza for Pizza Hut, numerous patents for clients like Taco Bell. And just prior to our call today, he was telling me that he spent 6 months working with George Lucas and living on the Skywalker Ranch. But his passion for painting was the direct result of a broken back from a boat accident in 2015. The accident was severe and he was in a coma, and 3 days later he woke up with this intense urge to paint. It was in 2019 he was diagnosed with acquired savant syndrome. This is where a dormant savant skills emerge after a spinal or brain injury or disease in a previously non-disabled person, and now David's life is painting.
Pretty amazing, huh?
So, David, thank you so much
I'm amazed.
for joining us today. This is by far the most interesting bio I think I have ever read.
Wow, who's that?
I'm wondering with the savant syndrome, were you like bummed that it wasn't something like that you could like make more money with or something, like picking like stock odds or like or counting cards or something like that? I mean, painting is fantastic. I'm just saying.
No, I think I end up with the poor artist syndrome, and but the acquired savant syndrome, which Dr. Daryl Trefford, who just passed away a few months ago, studied quite a bit. And there are different savants that are almost in categories. There's artists, there's mathematicians. So it's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. And the other interesting thing is that there's not many documented. He has a documentation of only 300 people worldwide. So,
have you met any of those savants? Have you? What is that like when you get together, or when you meet somebody?
We're just crazy savants. We're like when we do tequila shots, we get like we're not savants anymore. For the longest time, when I say longest time, for about a year, I had no idea what happened to me. And it was very, very frustrating. You go from being a marketing guy to all of a sudden you could paint pretty good. And we have color theory going on. And I mean, this is a crazy story, but it's my life. But I get a phone call from my intellectual property attorney. And I was in an inconvenient place at the moment. And he calls me and he goes, I don't care what you do, and you got to go turn the TV on 60 minutes or 2020. And I'm like, well, Matt, I can't. He goes, go. And I'm like, on the toilet. I can't. All right. So I'll just like, I'll look at it when I'm done. And so I watched it, and I'm like, wow. Part of it was about Dr. Treffert, and he was with one of his first case studies, and he was a sculptor. And I'm like, wow, I think this could be it.
So you finally had this answer as to this is what
I've
been going through.
I had an answer, but it wasn't really answered yet. And so I tracked down Dr. Treffert. I got his assistant, and I told her the story. And I'm like, you get thousands of these, but she said, send an email, and I'll put it by him, and just understand that he takes a long time to respond. And that's not only his age, but he gets stuff from around the world. Like within 24 hours, I got an email from him, a very lengthy email, and then that's when we started the diagnosis. And he, I eventually actually went into, his documentation as one of the case studies. So up until then, I could never call myself an artist. It just didn't feel right. I wasn't trained. But it was almost like right after he confirmed it, I was like, well, I'm an artist now.
Do other artists like hate that you just sort of like, it just happened for you? Like you haven't paid your dues.
Right. Well, I think I'm harder on myself than some of the artists I've met, because I've always had that in the back of my mind. But where I am right now, I'm totally fine with it. I think the thing that is most upsetting for them is, and how do I say this without sounding like an asshole? But I had a career, so I made money, and I did all the stuff you do when you get a career, and 401ks and whatever. So I never, my mission in painting was never to make money on it. My mission painting was to educate and make people aware of this thing called acquired savant syndrome through cranial or spinal injuries. And that really became the focus of it. And, when you mentioned about meeting other people with this, this was so coincidental. But my ex-wife babysits for this couple. They knew that I was an artist but didn't know how. They gave her a newspaper article, and it was about a gentleman. His name is Alder Crocker, who lives in Fairfield, so 20 minutes away from me, who was on vacation a couple years ago with his wife. The kids were out of the house, so this was like their vacation, and he was stepping in the water. I think it was in Aruba, and something gave way underneath, and he broke his neck and almost drowned. It was very serious because he had no mobility, and so he essentially became a quadriplegic. And so same thing. He started painting, and he became an artist. And so I contacted him, and I said, dude, we should get together and have breakfast. And like a week later, he pulls up, his person pulls up in the van, the door opens up, he takes his wheelchair off, goes into the diner, and it was amazing. I mean, this guy did not have one regret or was not angry or bitter at all. And I could move, I still have a lot of pain, but he was paralyzed essentially from the shoulders down, and his work was amazing.
So what he would I guess hold it in his mouth?
He created different types of brushes to use, and he has, it's really cool. It's like a lazy Susan on his table. So when he moves his wheelchair up to it, he could paint and then turn it, and paint and then turn it. So and he's developed tools that he can hold or place in his hand. And I said to him, Alder, that's fantastic, because as we meet more artists that have similar lack of ability to hold that, I think that's a great area where you could help out. So we became great friends. I introduced him to Dr. Treffert. He's on the registry, and we've been doing a lot of great things together. We actually started the website called the Acquired Savant Guild, and just really launched it with nothing more than we wanted to get it up there. But that'll be kind of be the hub where we direct people who are interested to find out about it or want to get diagnosed.
I'm
bet
curious.
There's a lot of people out there who have it and they don't even know.
Exactly. I mean, what's the term? Idiot savant, right? Used to be the old term. I feel like I'm just an idiot. Like the savant thing I'm waiting for. I'm curious. I was thinking about, as you were talking about the movie The Matrix, where in the end of the first Matrix, Neo kind of sees the Matrix, right? He sees code. Like everything looks different to him. He sees the digital code. Did you see things differently? Like, I mean, what did you see when you looked at the canvas before this developed, and what did things look different to you?
What happened to me was in my sleep, soon after the accident, I started having these incredible dreams. I mean, they were all color, like just colors, just like shooting at me, and then two pairs of hands just like moving paint and colors, and it was so vivid. And every night I had a dream like that, every single night. And then what happened when I picked up the paintbrush and started painting is, and I started on a really tiny thing, and now I paint 40 by 60 by 40 big pieces. But I would go into my studio, as I do now, and I would look at a blank canvas, and I would look at all the colors of paint I have, and I would just go up and pick them, like naturally. Just pick this, lay it up in front of the canvas, and start painting. And a lot of it was from my dreams. So it was like, if you can replicate something from a dream and put it out there, this was to me as close as you can get.
Do you feel like it's the dream that's pushing you, or do you feel like is there a spiritual element that's imbuing you with this need?
It's an interesting question. I'm not religious. I'm somewhat spiritual. I believe in God, and every time I need something, of course, I go to Him. Hey, I promise I'll never drink again if I don't throw up in the toilet. We've all done that, right? But it's so strange because every single day I wake up, every day, and I walk into my studio, I just am so thankful. I say thank you to whoever wants to hear it, because it's still so incredible in me. It's still hard to grasp that people pay money for my work, and my work.
I heard that Lady Gaga has your paintings hanging in her.
Yeah, well, she
mansion.
doesn't have them hanging in her mansion. She has a foundation with a mother called Born This Way Foundation, and I donate quite a bit of my work to foundations and charities, and I really like what they stand for. I really like what they do. Her mother is just so involved in leading this with teens and kids around the country, and so I donated 3 paintings to them, and I painted one in particular for her, and to use however they want, to use that to auction it or hang it up in their house, and I also am quite active in the human rights campaign. I donate work to them every year for their big gala event, and they auction it off. So, yeah, I mean, wherever I can help an organization that's meaningful and kind of fits in with a mission that I really want to go forward with, I'm fine with giving it away.
I'm curious. This boating accident, right? This was your friend's boat in Tampa, right? I'm wondering how the accident and what developed from it, did that change that relationship at all? I mean, because in some ways, like, so much of your life has been shaped by going out on a friend's boat.
Well, unfortunately, Scott, I can't talk about it. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes, I can't talk about it because it's a legal thing more than anything else. So
Got you,
friendship,
okay,
I have to tell you, he and his partner were really good. We were really good friends. We did everything. We traveled around the world together, and And I don't dislike them at all. I mean, I'm still fond of them. The problem I had was the day after the accident, they never ever called me again, ever. Like,
Wow.
Like if I really messed up a friend, I would be on a plane to help, or, and I think that's what absolutely hurt me the most. It's like, how can I not even get a phone
Yeah.
call to say, how you doing? Can we do anything for you? So, I just let it be. We didn't get in contact anymore, and then it's just working out the way it needs to work out. So
That's got to be so torturous, though, because I mean, this event has been so determinative of your life, right? I mean, you almost like it's like the BCAD kind of thing, right? This is like a BBA, like before boat accident.
I like that.
and ABA, ABC after boat, ABA after boat accident, and so to have that relationship severed, it's just got to be very. I would think that'd be very painful.
It was more hurtful than painful. I had enough pain. I didn't want to put any more pain. It was just hurtful. It's listen. I've always taught my kids to be kind to people and take responsibility and pay it forward, and and you'll have a good life. Whatever that is, and so it severed a relationship, but also a group of really close friends who we were all friends together, and someday that may mend, but
but in some ways, I mean, there's the death of that. But there's been this birth of so much more. And think of all of the things that you've done and you're helping and you're pushing that wouldn't have happened.
I get
prior,
the question a lot. You probably know what it is, but if you had to do it all over again, would you do it? And my response is, of course I wouldn't. I want to break my back and my wrists, and I'm still going through. I have 3 surgeries coming up in the next year and a half, but I'm happy of what came out of it, because never in my life could I ever dream of this. I'm creative. I'm very creative, but I couldn't draw a stick figure. So to produce art, that people like, that gets recognized, that I got a good following on Instagram and on Twitter, and it's great because like my Instagram account really took momentum, and I started getting direct messages from people around the world with, "Oh my God, I think I have the same thing," or incredibly personal and intimate in the details they gave me, and I never met them before. And it got to a point where there were so many coming in that that's when I talked to Dr. Treffert about, you got to help me. I'm an artist, and and there's not one of them that I don't answer. I have to answer. So we set something up where they can go through a portal or get in touch with his organization directly. So that's one of the cool things about social media too. It's like people discover you, and that was the whole mission and objective of what I wanted to do, and now Alder and I want to do, is let people discover it or give them access to information, and so they don't have to go through the pain that kind of I did on what the hell happened to me.
Yeah, I would guess being a savant is a lonely experience.
Yeah,
because there are very few people that, I'm sure describing what it's like it's hard, because most people don't have any kind of common frame of reference for your experience.
And that's a great point, because that's why I found through fate, probably Treffert and my attorney Matt Wagner, on listening to the news, but I wanted to have someone that could legitimize what I have. So when I get interviewed, or if there's doctors come in and speak with me, that I could reference someone. I could say, speak to Dr. Daryl Treffert, and he'll give you the information. So I wanted to legitimize what I had, only to, once again, get the word out. So because it is unbelievable. People are like, "What? Really? Like, no way." I'm like, yeah.
I think people want to have that happen to them. Like, they want to wake up and suddenly but what I'm hearing though is it comes with a whole slew of other things.
Yeah.
It's not this picture perfect, wonderful. Hey,
No,
let me
no.
now just start.
No, I mean,
painting.
because I could make a lot of money if I could just figure out the formula and put it out there. But no, it's been it's 2015 and it's 2021, and I'm still in incredible pain. I'm in chronic pain. And
Did you stop Bulldog New York
Yeah.
because of the accident?
Yeah.
All right, so you basically said I can't keep
well,
going down.
the
that path.
focus of my company then, this is another incredible thing. Myself and two partners, one based in Switzerland, one on the West Coast, I came up with this idea for Times Square to create a consumer experiential ride. So I actually designed a ride that would go up the side of the building, and you can get a whole landscape of Times Square and Central Park. But the ball drop, and it went really far. I mean, this was a business that we were it was set up. We had preliminary investors. We had groups in other countries, South Korea, in Europe, that wanted to participate and then replicate it. And right after the accident, we essentially had to stop it because I was a creative director, but I was also the consumer experience guy, and I had to travel around the world this is not going to sound too bad, but test drive rides and meet with ride developers and manufacturers and walk parks and really involved with the city. I mean, with Mayor Bloomberg at the time. So yeah, it stopped. It just stopped. And so.
Do you miss it? Do you miss Bulldog?
These are really good questions because it makes me think. I miss seeing the work that I do with a team creatively out in the marketplace. I miss this ride in Times Square would have been, unbelievable. Would have been, a game changer for tourism in New York City. And my mind is always thinking marketing. I could be, walking down the street, and this morning I said to my son John, just a quick story. So we had to get my partner an appointment for his COVID shot. I mean, I don't know if you guys have tried it, but it is a nightmare. Nightmare.
It's brutal.
So I got my shot at Walgreens, and I said to the woman who gave it to me, I said, "Listen, give me the inside scoop. I mean, I got to get his vaccination." She goes, "All the Walgreens just got 100 units today, and at 12:01 they're going to release everything. You have to go online." And so what we had set up was
It's just like harder than getting a new iPhone.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm telling you, almost impossible. So my partner Jim was in the living room. My son John was here, and on our screens we had I had 6 websites open. Okay, I took the VAMS websites. They took Walgreens, took CVS, and at 11:59 we just went and started hitting the buttons, and finally I got one. It's the end of March, but I got one for him. And so then I stopped and I looked at him and I said, this is a business. I said, I would have paid $100 plus a bonus, depending on how many days out I can get, to have someone do this for me. So, that's the way my mind thinks. But now I have to bite my tongue every time I'm with somebody and I know I can give an idea or they want to hire me for something. And I just bite my tongue because I'm focused for the first time in my life.
But do you feel that you're more creative since the accident? I mean, are these frenetic dreams also going down marketing wormholes for you as well? Or is it very much painting and that's it? Or are you finding it going into other areas of your life?
Other areas. And these areas tend to be creating brand new things, like, and I write them down. I have them everywhere, and it's crazy. Some of them I think about, some of them I see if there's patents on them. But I love doing that. But once again, I pulled in and said, my painting is where it's at. And, if someone thinks it's a good idea, knock yourself out and go do it. But yeah, so I think it is.
It strikes me that it seems like you switched. There's a major switch in your life because your work was very collaborative and team oriented, right? You're working with people all the time. To now your work, I mean, painting strikes me as a fairly solitary existence when you're working, right? There's not a collaborative team that's sitting around. All right, a little more blue there, a little more. It's you and a canvas.
Yeah, it's a lonely life. It's a it's a very lonely, non-paid life. But yeah, I think that is kind of what an artist is. But it's where do you get your inspiration from, and who do you hang out with, and where do you go? And so I made the decision with the help of my doctors and also very, very strict planning on how I would do this. But the thing that happened to me, which was the most incredible thing, and it still happens today, is when I walk into my studio, no matter how much pain I have, whether it's on a scale of 10, 8, or 9, as soon as I get in there and as soon as I start painting, I don't feel any pain. So
Really?
either the distraction or the mental really getting into the painting takes over really severe pain. So I said to my doctors that I would love to be able to go to certain parts of the world to do residencies and meet other artists, because that's where I am the most calm and I kind of feel like myself again. And I'm not moving around in my chair and getting up and taking pills. And so they set up, I told them where I wanted to go. They did all the background work on, where the hospitals, where the back doctors. So they helped me pull that together. And they also gave me the routine on how to get on the plane and how to sit for 10 hours and what you need to do, because you can't sit for 10 hours. So, I mean, it was really scripted for me. And so with that, I went over to France, and I was there for a month outside of Paris, meeting all these artists from around the world and painting with some of them. So it was the first time I started interacting with other artists that were, painting different things, but two of us are in the same room. And so it was okay to ask, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about this? And so there was no ownership of the idea. It was really collaborative. And then I went to Sao Paulo on an island. I actually got into one of the craziest residencies is in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and it's called the Shacks. And it's a group of old shacks in the dunes that were started in the 20s, but people like O'Neill, Pollock, all these unbelievable artists went there and stayed there. There's no electricity. You have to pump your water out in the sand. You have to bring your food. And it's hard to get into. And I just was like, I love Provincetown. I've been going there since I was 7. And I applied for it. And then I got a note back saying, you are accepted. And so you pack all your stuff for a week. They literally drive you. You have to bring your paints. So they drive you to your shack. And they drop you off and they pick you up on, 7 days from then. And you're on your own.
Like after day 1, I'd be like, I'm done
Let
here.
me tell you something. When the sun went down, some panic set in. I'm like, there's not enough light here.
I'm curious. Are you in pain right now?
Yeah. Incredible pain.
Like on a 1 to 10, like what would you say? Like,
it's like an 8 right now. I can't. Sitting down is horrible for me. Like, it's horrible for me.
because I wouldn't know. I mean, you the way you come across, just conversationally, I would not guess. Like if I was in that kind of pain, I couldn't have a conversation. But it's remarkable to me how lucid and even gregarious you are at that pain level. I mean, is that have you learned how to push through?
I think,
I mean, is that
Scott,
a learned skill?
I'm at a point now after 5 years that my threshold for pain is so high that I can't judge, you know, if I cut my finger and, you know, I'm bleeding and it hurts. I can't judge whether that's really painful or not really painful. So it has done that. It's very hard to. I could tell on a scale of 1 to 10 how I'm doing, but you know it's constant. But I have my painting, so you know I have my painting, and I can also walk. You know, I look at my friend Alder who can't walk, and sometimes I think I'm you know bitchier than he'll ever be. But you know that's what you got to look at. You got to look at those wins, and you know the pain's going to be with me for the rest of my life. My doctors have said, you know, it's, you know, yoga. I did yoga every day. I miss yoga. I mean, every single day. That's the thing I miss most is doing yoga. And the morning of the accident, I did an hour and a half of yoga, and my doctors think that might have saved me from being paralyzed because I was so limber and loose, and but yeah, I miss that the most. I really wish I could do that again.
Now, you actually worked with George Lucas.
I was thinking that's
you were on the Skywalker Ranch, right? I mean, is there like Star Wars stuff on the ranch? Are there like X-wing fighters like in the backyard? I mean, is there like quirky stuff
I'll tell you,
there?
The quirky stuff is, well, first of all, when you get to Skywalker Ranch and you go through the door, it's just like you're in the gates of heaven. I think I heard angels and choirs when I went in there. But it's like a little village, city. There's a fire department. They have a school there for the preschool for parents that work there. And then he has this huge building that's I mentioned earlier. It's called the library. That's where all the stuff is. That's where everything he creates is there. There's one of everything there. And so, once again, to walk into that building, you just can't take that for granted. You know, I think my son did. He was like, "Yeah, I got those toys at home." I'm like, "No, you don't. You don't have those toys." But the whole kind of spirit of the ranch is you're driving up this long, long road, and you know these mountains, and then all of a sudden you see this enormous Victorian mansion, and it was absolutely beautiful. And so everybody worked there. I mean, it was literally, it wasn't his house, but that's the place where everybody created. And the thing that was most spectacular about the house was his art collection. And it was amazing. Right after the pitch, I was so tired. I went in like one of the parlors and I laid on a couch and fell asleep. And then I woke up and I thought I was in a dream because I saw like a Norman Rockwell painting, like above the fireplace. And I like him, but I'm not like a huge, like I'm going to go out and, you know, buy a print of it. And I looked at it and I went up to it. I'm like, oh, this kind of looks real or whatever. And so I went over to the president of Lucasfilms, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. He goes, yeah. He goes, no one in the public has ever seen that. It's a real Norman Rockwell, and this is where it sits, and only people generally that come here see it. And that was like that all around the place. It was beautiful. It wasn't opulent. George Lucas left every day at, I forgot, 4:00 to go pick his kids up at school. So it wasn't, you know, I felt intimidated once, and it was when I did the presentation, and I created, at the time it was earth-shattering, but a lenticular, like 12-pack box where you move it around, you can see Star Wars figures, and we did black cans for the first time ever. So I had this whole thing orchestrated, like pin lights and like low music, and I'm walking out by myself with this package, and I present it, and then George Lucas stands up, and he starts walking towards me, and as he's walking towards me, I'm like walking back, because I have no idea what he's going to do. I'm like, is he going to like bitch slap me or something? I'm like, that's when I started getting nervous. Every other time I was with him or met him, it was like kind of cool, but he started walking towards me, and he got the box, and he looked at it, and he said, like, this is one of the most amazing marketing things I've ever seen. And so that was the moment I said, I think we got this business. You know, Coca-Cola's not going to get it. And yeah, it was, you know, it was life changing. Also, I mean, can you imagine George Lucas walking up to you?
No.
No, is he like? He's obviously a very creative guy. I mean, I'm wondering, is he like funny? Is he fun? I mean, is he a very serious guy?
I didn't spend any time, social time with him, so he was pretty serious. You know, in the meetings, you know, I can imagine he's got so much on his mind. But you know, that was a pretty serious meeting. I think I was the only one there cracking jokes, and fortunately, people were laughing. But he, you know, he's intense. He's just really super intense.
That's amazing experience. David, do you have any keys that you want to share with our audience as to what keeps you moving forward, and maybe even some things that you use to, you know, drive your career as you did? Because I mean, you CEO, president. I mean, you went far, and even now you're going far. What drives you? What are those keys?
Several things. I mean, you know, I suffer from mental illness, so, you know, and my children do too. So there's a huge, you know, I don't want to use the word battle, but there's that struggle on top of everything else. But, you know, I always, there's a couple of things I say to them. One is never lose hope. You have to have hope. And when you feel you're at your lowest, think of something that you can look at. And if it's that little light, you got to look at it. And I don't care if it's the little light is walking outside to walk on the beach, but you need to do that. The other thing is always ask a question, no matter what it is, no matter if you think it's the most ridiculous question or it's going to make you look stupid. Because I said there's only two answers. It's yes and no. So I think that for them growing up gave them permission maybe to, you know, be a little bit more open to kind of speak their mind and ask questions. And, you know, I think for anyone, especially people that have had injuries, I think everybody processes it differently. But I think, you know, I hate this expression, but at the end of the day, I think it's an individual thing. However, the commonality, I think, is talking to people, letting them hear you talk about it, and letting them understand what you went through, because most of the time they pick up something from that. Like, wow, you know, when you paint, you don't feel pain. And I say to them, yeah, pick up a brush, go get a thing of paint. And that's the thing that they might not have thought about. So I think for me, it's really just passing it on and paying it forward.
David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, this has been fantastic.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely
wish I was a little bit better, but, you know, what am I going to do? See this shirt? I just have to show you this quickly. So it says, yes, I'm smiling, because, you know, you can't tell the emotions on anybody anymore wearing a mask. And so, you know, I actually like pretend to get mad at people, but I'm not, like, because they can't tell. So now I wear this shirt with my mask, and at least they think I'm smiling. I might be calling them something else, but
you can always get a mask with a big smiley face on it too.
That could work. Just spews out the feelings you have. But thanks, this was great. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm thankful to Craig Coffey who introduced us, and I'll be on again if you want. You can go to my studio and watch me paint or whatever you like.
Oh.
All right.
I love it.
That.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. All right. Until next time. Thanks for dreaming big with Big Dreamers. Bye-bye.